Good morning, everyone. Hope all of you are doing well. First of all, I would like to apologize for the delay. We had a little technical difficulty, which hopefully is sorted now. So welcome, everyone. And today we will be hearing about mindful parenting. Parenting is the most important and challenging job we will ever undertake in life. But for some reason, we are always told that it will come naturally to us. And sometimes we question, are we doing this parenting right? For something as important as parenting, is it a good idea to leave it to chance? To clear our doubts, we have joining us today Diane Tillman from California. She is an educational psychologist and marriage and family therapist. She is also an author of award-winning Living Values education series of books. She has written 10 additional educational resources for at-risk youth and a parenting guide, Nurturing with Love and Wisdom, Disciplining with Peace and Respect. So let us all welcome Sister Diane today. Good evening, Sister Diane. Just give us a few minutes. I'm just trying to see so that I can put her on spotlight. We have also Sister Asha today joining us. Welcome, Sister Asha. We cannot hear you, Sister Asha. Yes, okay.
Om Shanti, everyone. I hope you all are having a beautiful morning. We are all waiting for Sister Diane to join us. So I'm taking this golden opportunity to say Om Shanti and hello, how are you to all of you. And I hope you have a beautiful Saturday ahead and staying safe in this pandemic. This is a very important topic on mindful parenting. And as we wait for Sister Diane to join us, and let's do a few minutes of meditation and see that, give her the time to come in and speak to us about mindful parenting. So just sit relaxed and with your palms facing upwards. And if your legs are crossed, try to have your right leg over your left leg. This is just a few minutes of us to ground ourselves and take us away from all the distractions of this morning. And be in the present moment. Feel the air flowing in through your nostrils when you inhale. And breathing out the air that flows out as you exhale. Try to do this at least 4 times. Deep breath. And now, Let us take in 4 deep breaths, but in the next 4 deep breaths, you will inhale and hold, and then exhale very slowly. Let us come to this present moment and visualize the wings of an angel on us. And let us fly back into the times when we were children, being raised by our parents. And as a child, I have a certain expectation from my parents. Just try to churn within yourself as to what expectations did you have from your parents in your childhood. Love, unconditional, pure love, forgiveness for all the mistakes children do. Being our guardian for our education. Playing with us, giving us our clothes, disciplining us. And then with the wings, we fly back to our present time. As parents now for our children. Are we there for our children? To listen to them, to hug them, to love them, to forgive them, to guide them, to understand them without judgment. And the most important thing is to set an inspiring example to them. Asking myself, am I a good parent? And what are the criteria that I defined what a good parent is? Take a minute to introspect on all these points. And when you're ready, let's come back with our wings. wings of soul, life force of energy, different types of energy, energy of love, power to discern, power to judge, power to accommodate, power to tolerate, and power to face all the challenges that children of today are facing with us. So if all of you can hear me and we are ready to begin, please let me know. Put a comment on the chat box and let me know if you can hear me and everything is okay.
Yes, sister, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to speak a little bit, but at the most of it, I would like you to basically churn and bring up some questions that are pertinent to today's environment. And I'm going to first begin with what do we mean by mindful parenting? And as a disclaimer, I want to let you know I don't have any children of my own, but I am working with a lot of children who are underprivileged in India. And I am a mother to more than 800 girls and boys. And they are usually all between the ages of 5 and 17. And I'm sure most parents can relate to all the issues facing these type of situations in this age group. And I think the most important part of mindful parenting, what it means is that when you are parenting your children, are you aware, are you consciously aware that you are really creating positive thoughts for your children? And second of all, are you aware of your actions and the impact of your actions, the impact of your words, and the impact of your thoughts on the upbringing of your children? So this is what I would say is mindful parenting. Sometimes we say certain words that can have a lifelong positive impact. It's when you praise your children when they do something good, or you have words of encouragement for your children and motivate them to do something good. And you also motivate them to think right. So part of mindful parenting is to teach children how to think right. And the reason why mindful parenting is necessary, because the children of today are facing more challenges than we faced when we were little. So I'm almost 60 years old, and I can just remember my childhood, as I'm not sure if everyone knows, but my childhood was in Jakarta. And I can only say one thing, that for me, I had a balance of love from my mother and love and discipline for my father. There was always a way to, my mother would tell me how to think, and my father would try to sort of modify it on different situations, how you can modify certain thinking. And my belief is this, that if we teach children how to think, how to be creative in our thoughts, then automatically the right words and actions will follow. And the part that I was saying in meditation is each one of us have to ask ourselves, have we really been model parents to our children? And what does that mean? Is that how is our behavior in front of them, behind them, with all the relationships in the house, whether it be my brothers, my sisters, my in-laws. Children are watching us just as God is watching us. Our children are watching us. We may not feel that there is an impact of what we are doing, what we are saying with others on our children, but it definitely does do that. So just churn on that and ask yourself this question. You don't have to tell me what you are thinking and how you are judging yourself, but this is just for you. And sometimes it is very important to be honest with yourself, and say that, how can I correct it? Because I always believe, and what I have learned till today is never too late to change. And it's never too late to become a model parent, And just like everybody else, everyone makes mistakes, but everyone should learn from it. And I personally believe the word should, would, could can be a little tough on us emotionally. And so maybe we can become a little bit milder and say, look, okay, I'm going to inspire myself. I'm going to give that a try, and I know I can do it. I will succeed to be a model parent. So from what I have heard Sister Diane speak on mindful parenting several times and attended her workshops on it, I think one of the most important aspects is, first of all, understanding in my mind, what is it I'm expecting from my children? Sometimes our expectations for our children are a little bit too harsh. I have some parents who will say that I want my child to be an engineer and the child is only 5 years old. Or somebody will say, I want my child to come first in every grade. So it's instilling the attitude of competition. And we all know competition has several negative connotations and very few positive, healthy aspects to it. We are all learning in a world of stress. I'm not sure how many people agree to that, because the word stress is probably the most common word being used in today's times, especially with the pandemic that's going on, right? I'm sure that, we use this word stress at least 5 to 10 times a day. And if some of you can please be interactive and put your comments on the chat box, or also in the question and answers, and be honest with yourself and say how many times I have used the word stress in the last 7 days, or even for some in the last 1 day. And I feel that if you look into that, the word stress actually comes also from the word disease, dis-ease. I'm not at ease with the situation that is present in front of me. And if I'm in a situation that I'm not comfortable with, we use this so-called word stress. And having such high expectations of your children that is based on your need, not on the need of the children, can put a lot of pressure on the children. And I have seen many parents who speak and say, you know what, but we are only thinking good about our children. And here we are not talking about whether you are thinking good or you're thinking bad for the children. We are not talking about that. We are talking about the child. Or if you have 2, 3 kids, we are talking about them. We are not talking about what is good for us. We are talking about what type of parenting is good for children. So one of the things that I find that is very important in my work with the kids in India, in Rishikesh, India, is that every child is coming to this earth and you're giving birth to these children itself is a creative process, right? The birth of a child is such a wonderful experience. And I've delivered so many kids, more than 10,000 in my lifetime. And I have always experienced that no delivery is the same as the other one. Everyone is unique. And therefore, every child is unique. So the idea instead of competition is, what are the tendencies of my child? What are his plus points? What is he good at? What will he do when he grows up comes later. But when they are 4, 5, 6 years old, you can already detect. If you're observant, you can already detect their tendencies. Either it be towards music, either it could be reading books. There are some children who love reading books, and when they are even in kindergarten, and they are taught how to say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever alphabets. They learn very quickly, and then when they go home, they start repeating it. And nowadays, as you know, competition is so much that I even heard my niece telling me that her 2-year-old daughter has to go to pre-kindergarten to learn all these things. And I was shocked when I heard that. And when I heard what the school fees are for the pre-kindergarten kids, I was totally, first of all, shocked. But then I was saying to myself, I am so happy I'm not born today, because that means the pressure on these children is starting from the age of 2 years old. And so my niece flew down from Tanzania to Jakarta in the middle of the year, and she could not find a place that would accept her for 3 months at the age of 2 years. And then I had to convince her that she did not need to go to school at the age of 2 years. And I'm sure many parents may disagree to that, but all I'm saying is so much pressure at the age of 2, when in fact a child should be playing, crawling, having issues with falling, getting up, learning how to get up after falling down is a big lesson that comes into use even when you are 60, 70, 40 years old. Unless you fall, there is no opportunity to get up. So the age of 2, 3, 4, we find that our children are being pressured into going to school, learning so much, and that your child should be the best at it. So I'm not saying that what is happening is wrong, and I want all of you to get that from me. I'm requesting all of you to understand that I'm not judging this, but I'm just saying that childhood is supposed to be for creativity. When you allow the child to be creative, then you will know what is the tendency of this child, what are the unique specialties of this child, and how to guide the child to exploit that potential for the maximum full potential of the child. So if you find your child is drawn to music and you say, oh no, I don't want my child to be a musician, but this is not about me. This is not about a parent. This is about a child. And if a child is good as an actor, then to promote that. So many times as parents, we make judgments, oh, acting is not a good profession. But if the child is a born actor, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to actually, as a good parent, inspire and promote the talent of the child. And that is what being mindful is. You're watching your kids. The second part of being mindful is that playing with children. And I see myself in Jakarta growing up, even so many years ago, in 1961 to onwards, that I was in Jakarta till 1971. My parents would take me swimming every weekend, and we all waited the whole week long for that swimming day in Punjab. However, on a daily basis, when the children were given playtime, our parents did not play with us. But after doing the courses of living values with Sister Diane, and after listening to her mindful parenting, and now when I go to Rishikesh, I'm always playing with the children, even at this age. It could be running, it could be flying kites. I never knew how to fly kites. Now I know how to fly a kite, play frisbee, play basketball, play whatever they wanted to play. It wasn't about me. So parenting is not about parents. Parenting is about the child. And I think this is the most important part that we all need to focus at, is that parenting is not about me. Parenting is about the child. So at this moment, I would like Sister Jabeen to please check if you have any questions from whatever I have said so far, instead of leaving the questions to the end.
So far, we have no questions, sister.
Okay. All right. So I've not heard from Sister Diane yet. So we are going to continue. And so everyone, please put in your questions every 10 minutes or so that, and then as I said, I'm not claiming myself to be the expert on it, but what I'm trying to throw is making the ideas into your head. What, according to you, is mindful parenting? So this is a question I'm asking all of you. Please put in your answers either in the chat box or in the question and answer session of it as to what is mindful parenting according to you. Okay. And now I'm going to come to why are we talking about mindful parenting? Because this is a topic that we had not spoken about when we were growing up, or even just 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So to tell you a little bit about Sister Diane, Diane Tillman is the author of several books on living values. And she does a lot of workshops and webinars. They are all available on YouTube. There is a website also called livingvalues.net. You can purchase the books from Amazon, or you can even download it for free on the website. Again, the website is livingvalues.net. And these books are basically divided into the age groups of the children. So 3 to 7, then 8 to 14, and then the teenage years, young adult activities. So in these books, basically, we are focusing on value systems. So why do we need to talk about value systems? So this is where the topic comes of mindful parenting. Why are we talking about mindful parenting today? Why is it so important? So few of the things for me, I'm actually a gynecologist. So I see a lot of young girls in my practice. When I was practicing, I just recently retired. And in my young days, most women and most girls do not see a gynecologist till they're pregnant or they are having some issues. But nowadays, as gynecologists, we see a lot of young girls, 10, 11, 12, coming to us. Okay? And there are several issues associated with this, which is why mindful parenting is important. So there has been an increase in psychological disorders, mental illnesses among children. And every year we have found this number increasing. And we are talking even of 3-year, 4-year-old kids. And I want to tell you a little story of a friend of mine, and this is not to scare you, but to make you alert of the need for mindful parenting. So this friend of mine is a psychiatrist, and she specializes basically in adult hyperactivity disorders that we call basically ADD. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. in which children are easily distracted, and so they are not able to focus in school, in their studies, in their classes. Their grades start going down. They are very hyperactive. If you tell them to sit in one place, it's very tough for them to sit in one place. And she had a baby. And all of a sudden, at the age of 3, she called me and told me, she said, Asha, I think my child has ADD, and I'm so disappointed in myself. And I said to her, I said, you're a psychiatrist, you should know better, that you shouldn't be disappointed. And you already have the ways of how to manage this type of a child, because that's what you specialize in. And all of us here, adults, sitting and listening to this conversation, when we were young, we never heard of ADD, right? We never heard of such a disorder of hyperactive children who are not able to concentrate and not doing well. So that's one aspect of why we need mindful parenting now. We need to observe our children. We need to see the changes in the children. And we can only do that if we give time and importance to this issue. Okay? Second thing is, we all know there has been an increase in use of drugs in children. In Rishikesh, I have seen 10, 11, 12-year-old kids taking drugs. They cannot even afford to buy food, but they seem to be able to get drugs. Right? And I don't need to go and say to you how they are getting these drugs. It's quite obvious, I'm sure, to all of you. We have seen younger children drinking alcohol. Okay. Smoking. We have seen smoking increase, and we all know the effects of nicotine in causing lung cancer. And then on the other side of part of mindful parenting is, if parents are smoking cigarettes in front of their children, the bad effects of secondhand smoke on the children is the same as though they were smoking themselves. So as parents here listening to this talk, if we are smoking in front, first of all, we should not be smoking. But if we are smoking in front of our children, what is the impact of that? We are trying to say to our children, it is okay to smoke, when intellectually we know it is not okay to smoke. If we drink alcohol in front of our children, then children will say it is okay to drink. Children are not aware about the limits of how much alcohol we should drink or we should not drink, and what is safe, what is not safe. So they are at a very impressionable age. So this is what mindful parenting focuses on. We have to understand that children are easily impressed, okay, and therefore influenced. So if we are drinking alcohol and we are drunk and our behavior is changing secondary to that, towards the children in the house, towards the spouse at home, then children are learning that it is okay to insult someone. And in most circumstances, we see that men insult women. So there is an increase in domestic violence when in the family somebody gets drunk. Okay. We also find that bullying, harassment, all that is associated in a family that's dysfunctional. What do we mean by a family that's dysfunctional? When the father and mother do not respect each other, there is a division in the way we decide on how to take care of children, right? We never come to a unified agreement. And when there is a difference in the style of bringing up of the mother and father, and there are a lot of arguments at home, there are disharmonious relationships, then we see that the children are learning all this. And what the children are learning is not necessarily being manifest the same way as parents are doing. Okay? The children can manifest it in many different ways. And one of the ways that we see a lot nowadays is children do not want to stay at home. They want to be out with their friends. Okay? So if you all can just hold a second, I'm trying to get hold of Sister Diane. My brother Art, did you find her? Okay, all right. Can you drive to her house, please? Yeah, I think so. So just drive to her place and call me back. Okay, thanks. Bye. So I'm going to take a little pause here. None of us can find Sister Diane, and I know she does have ill health. So for a second, if we can just send blessings and prayers that she's okay. Let's get back and send positive healing energy and continue this conversation. So one of the things is many children do not like to stay at home. If they stay at home, they want the doors of their room closed so they can feel the space of independence and freedom to do whatever they want to do, and to use the phone to watch certain programs on the TV that they know they should not watch. Mind you, children today are smarter than the parents, and they are watching programs that they know they should not watch, but they're still watching because children have this element in them that is curiosity. So the curiosity is a good thing if used in a constructive way, and this is part of mindful parenting. Are you utilizing the curiosity of your children in the right way? And so that's one of the things. Third thing is experimenting. Experimenting could be in different ways, in relationships with the girls or boys in their classroom, with senior students, with younger students, with the teachers. They're experimenting. The last one is that they try to play the role of the parent. So if the parent is drinking alcohol, they try to procure alcohol from some way or the other. And they want to experience what they see in their father or mother. And this is where the issues come, that children normally are curious. And if they don't understand what you are doing and what you are saying, then they will experiment to find out what you're doing. And not all experiments are successful. And we all know that. So coming to that now, as we said, what they do if we are not mindful parents. On the last is we have seen an increasing incidence of the so-called word stress, where children, when they grow into adults, they are not able to keep their jobs. Every little thing makes them stressed, and they feel that they do not have the energy to cope up with the pressure at the workplace. And I'm not saying that the workplace is ideal in today's day and age, but their coping mechanisms is what I'm getting at is much weaker than the coping mechanisms we had as growing up. So a balance of discipline and love is definitely key, but more important than that is getting involved with the children with activities. And Diane Tillman is very good at that. And to give a few examples of what she does is basically being a part of their projects. So in childhood, when you are between 3 and 7 years old, doing projects together, going to the zoo and learning about animals at the zoo instead of watching it on a TV or reading it from a book, taking them to the zoo and teaching them about animals. Learning how to make a kite, not just flying a kite, okay? teaching them yoga when they are young itself. And if you don't do yoga, you tell your children to do yoga, is not going to work. If children see you doing yoga, I'm talking about exercise type of yoga, the hatha yoga, then they will be curious. As I said, a part of children is being curious. So curiosity is definitely a something positive in children, because from that they learn. So doing things like that, not just going to swimming, but definitely being mindful about different things, making a house out of cardboard, painting, drawing, doing karaoke or music or singing, depending on whatever you see that your children is good at. But not only telling the child to do it, but being a part of the children, having that discipline that, okay, when my children are going to school and then they are coming back, making a point that after they come back, that I should spend some quality time with them. So it's not like I'm in my room doing the stuff I want to do, and then children are in their own room after they come back and doing that, whatever they want to do in the room. And then all we do at 8 o'clock in the evening with dinner is, oh, did you do your homework? And I think many of us have that habit to ask our children, did you do your homework? So many times it's much better if we sit with them and, for example, tell them, okay, mommy is doing her homework, so let all of us do our homework. Or father is the one, okay, I'm going to do my homework and you do homework. So it's not like homework is only for children, it's also for adults. So this is something that is very important to understand, that children want you to be involved in their life from a young age. But if you are not involved in their life from a young age, and then all of a sudden you find your child going in a direction that is not right, and then all of a sudden you speak up when they are 14 years old, it's not going to work. And your child will stand up and say, hey, mom, where were you 10 years ago? Where were you 3 years ago? How come you are telling me today that I shouldn't do this? I've been doing this for 5 years. And all of a sudden we wake up. So that's one of the things, is doing activities with children, not leaving them alone. Yes, they have playtime with other children because they have to learn how to have relationships with other kids and form friends. But we have to be around them. And in today's world, as we all know, most parents usually are working, both father and mother. But I have seen many parents who have learned that this is not the right way, and they adjust their schedules, where the father works in the daytime and the mother works in the evening time. So there is one parent at least. And on this topic comes the idea of mindful parenting. Is nowadays being a single mom is not uncommon. So a mom has to fulfill the role of a father and a mother, or a father has to fulfill the role of a mother and a father. And so there is a lot of responsibility, and I do admit that that is an issue, but they can all be resolved. And I'm sure that all of us can say, oh, we can easily say that because we don't have financial trouble, or we have financial trouble. I'm just saying mindful parenting is doing the best you can, but trying to spend quality time with your children. So if we can be a model for them, not drinking alcohol in front of the kids, even if we are 3 years old, we think that children don't get impressed by that, they do. And one of the most important parts, I think, of mindful parenting is none of us realize that a lot of our behaviors, or a lot of situations and challenges that happen to children, leave an imprint on the children, that we use very casually the word trauma, but they go so deep within our soul that they can last for a lifetime for a child. And I'm going to end after this story, because I'm really hoping that all of you have some questions and make this more interactive. We have only about, I think, 15 minutes left. So I'm going to tell you one story. So this is one of the ladies who came to our mindful parenting workshop. and she was asked to share something about the way her parents treated her. So she gave a story that brought tears into my eyes. So she's when this workshop happened, she was about 62 years old at that time. So this is quite a few years ago. And she said that when she grew up, she always heard her brother and her father calling her names like stupid, idiot, and all these kind of words that are derogatory. And this was a part of the language. It was not that they were just directing it to her, but she took it personally. And in order to prove to herself that she was not stupid, she kept on doing one degree after another. Okay. She did her master's in biology, then she did her PhD in biology. Then she again went back to school and did her master's in accounting, and then did a PhD in accounting. She kept on studying to the point that when we met her, she was still studying at that age, just to prove to the world that she's not stupid. So she was working, supporting herself. She could never maintain relationship with her husband. She was married 3 to 4 times because in her mind, she had kept that word that she was not good enough. And so all these words, even though we feel we are not telling it directly to our children, but even hearing that kind of language can have an impact on your children who are around you. So very important part of mindful parenting is that. So on the last few words, I would say one part of parenting, a key part, is active listening to your children. Not having them talk to you while you're watching a movie or doing something else, and your attention is split everywhere. Watch when you criticize, because criticism can be taken very negatively. I'm not saying that you should not guide your children. There's a difference between being critical and guiding your children, and shouting and screaming at them, and yelling at them, and improper conduct in front of your children. Like if a husband is insulting his wife in front of the children, that's what they learn. Trying to instill equality is very important, because this is what will happen in the world otherwise. They won't have the strength to face all the situations and the coping mechanisms. And making your children your friend. So with this, I'm going to first do 2 minutes of meditation commentary. And during this commentary, I would like you to just sit relaxed, but in your mind, and as I said, I am not perfect. We are all sitting here today on Zoom. We are trying our best to be perfect. That's why we are here. No one is perfect. We are all making an effort. So nobody is being judged, and no question is silly. No question is embarrassing. We are all a big world family. So just sit relaxed. Again, if you're crossing your legs, your right leg over the left leg. And just to tell you why, because it came from the word righteousness, dharma. And that is why the right leg is over the left leg, representing my value system of righteousness. And with palms facing upwards, and the reason the palms are facing upwards to the ceiling is because we are actually, it has nothing to do with the ceiling. It has to be, it just represents receiving power, receiving love, energy, and power from God. And many people can focus in the middle of their forehead, where our life force, our soul, our energy is situated. And again, focusing on the breathing, so we are not really getting distracted by other people, by noise, by our responsibilities for the rest of the day. So just being in the present moment. I'm here now with myself having a sweet conversation. A sweet conversation with my heart. My heart that is full of unlimited, unconditional, eternal love. Love for myself first, and then love for my children. Love is a very powerful energy, can overcome every situation, big or small, with love. And my heart has had several bandages on my heart since childhood. And those bandages are covering up scars of pain that I had growing up. I am invoking compassion and mercy for myself to heal my scars, remove those bandages, open up my heart, and embrace my children. My children, the stars of my life, the future of this world. They bring me my smile. They bring me joy. They give me the security of being able to pass with flying colors with the certificate of the best parents in the world. And the best parents in this world are parents who are attentive to their children. They are alert. They spend time with children. They play with children. They cry with their children. They laugh with their children. And they become the center of the world for them. The day we stop complaining about our children is the day of liberation for the children. The day we stop putting pressure on our children is the day the children feel their wings back again. Teach them how to fly by teaching them how to think. This is the best way we can be mindful of them. Knowing them, loving them, embracing them with an open heart and without any judgment. Take 4 deep breaths. Take a big inhalation. Pause and exhale. So when I say so hum, when I say so, you inhale. And when I say hum, you exhale. In between is this pause. As I think, so I become. So start the process. So hum. So hum. So hum. So hum. Let's come back, and I hope that we can make this last 10 minutes together. Very informative, light, and easy, so that we can get something out of this session for us to use to become mindful. So, Jabin.
Yes, thank you, Sister Asha. I think you have made us put our thinking caps on today. A few things before we start with the question and answer. What you shared about children being impressed and being curious. This is what we need to keep in mind, that they easily get impressed and they're very curious. And also, there has been a sharing here from one of our participants telling us about her view on mindful parenting.
Okay.
It is about creating a space where you are intentional about what you do with your children, because every experience leaves an impression on them.
It's exactly the same thing. So if I'm aware of what my intentions are for my children, then obviously I am going to be careful about what I say, what I do, and about spending time with them, right? So it's exactly what I'm saying. And children, as I said, are very impressionable. So we are not mindful, we are not alert about what we are saying. Sometimes we speak and we don't realize about what it is doing to the person who is listening to it. So being mindful of what we say. And even thoughts have energy. So if we are thinking something that we shouldn't be thinking, that energy touches a child, and sometimes if you notice, we may say nothing, but from our expressions, children can understand a lot, When children come up, even I've seen a 3-year-old come up, Mom, you look so sad, right? I'm not saying a mom is not supposed to look sad. What I'm trying to say is children can see those cues from a parent, If a mother decides one day that she's going to go out at night, because going out at night is very common nowadays, partying and all that stuff. We have to think about it. What is it doing to our children? But sometimes we don't think what about the effects that is having on our children, you know? Or if you are telling a child, oh, this dress is not good, it doesn't look good on you, she may interpret it and say, oh, I don't look good. She may say, my dress, she will not think that you are saying the dress is not good. She will think that I don't look good. So that can leave definite scars in her. So that's why I'm saying it's very, very important to be mindful of what I'm saying and what is going to be on the child. A girl gets a pimple when she is 14, and I personally heard mothers say, oh my God, it's that time of the month for you. You have a pimple now. That doesn't look good. You better cover it up. As soon as you tell your daughter that you should cover up your pimple, what does it signal? It signals that to have a pimple is shameful, you see? So we are instilling that in the girl's mind at that age of 13, 14, 12. Nowadays, we see girls at 10 having pimples. They are maturing faster. And when we make a comment like that, what is the impression of that, that we are creating, you see? So that's very important. We lower their self-esteem from an external factor, when we say that. Oh, your hair doesn't look good today. Some girls are not ready to listen to all those things. Instead, we can replace that and say, you know what, let me do your hair today. I want to be creative and make a nice, different hairstyle for you. Can you let me do that? So instead of saying to your daughter, your hair doesn't look good today, you can say something which is more pleasing and yet have the same outcome that you wish. Is that making sense, Jabin?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So is there any other question?
Yes, there's a question about, you spoke about youngsters or even younger children getting into drugs and alcohol.
Mhm.
How do we stop them, or how do we convince them that that is not the right path?
So part of it, very important question, and that I have seen the way it works. So one is, as a parent, am I taking drugs? So first of all, as parents, we shouldn't be taking drugs. Second, am I doing it in front of the children? Third, what are they watching? You know, there are so many serials and movies nowadays that are not considered adult, and they show children taking drugs. Okay. And so children feel, oh, it's okay to take this. That person feels so good at it. So what are they watching? You know, and if you spend enough time with your children, and if you spend really quality time with your children, they won't have the time to experiment on other things. Is that making sense? If you keep them busy. So when I went to Coimbatore to Sadhguru's school, and I interviewed many of their children, and they said that from 4 in the morning to 10 at night, they are so busy, they don't even know what drugs are, because they don't have time to think about drugs. They get up at 4 in the morning, they do yoga, they do meditation, then they go for a walk, then they cook breakfast together. So one of the activities you can do with children is make breakfast together. It's not that children have to just be served breakfast on the table, you know. So then they go to school, they have different activities at school, then they come back, they have snacks, then they go horseback riding, then they again do half an hour yoga, then they play different games, and you have to be creative. You have to create new games from them. There's a book called Planting Seeds, which is made by the Buddhist group, you know, in Tibet. And it gives you different games for children that not only help to calm them, but it also helps them to be more focused. It helps them to be peaceful, and it gives them that little experimenting on how to do new projects. And in fact, they would come to you and do new projects with you and say, hey, mom, I want to do this. I want to make my room. I want to paint my own room. I've seen myself in Jakarta, I lived there, that we call a painter to paint our house. How about giving one wall to your child and say, hey, experiment on this wall and paint. And so the child will now, with the help of Google, learn how to paint. And then you will take him to a painting store where you can be there 4 hours, 5 hours, and you can, you know, find out about the painting. But for that, a parent must be interested to learn about painting, at least basic knowledge, and inspire the child to do that. I have seen children here in a school in California where a lot of activities is outdoor: gardening, music, carpentry, learning little basics about how to manage the electrical stuff. The girls are being taught, you know, if your bulbs get fused, how to change the bulb. There are so many things you can do. So the children told me at 10 o'clock at night, they're so tired. There is no way they want to even watch TV, because they are not only mentally fatigued, but they're also physically exhausted from all the outdoor activities they're doing, you know. So that is what's going to help them stay away from drugs. Why do people take drugs? Because it makes them forget the issues. One of the big issues is boredom. So they forget their boredom, they forget their lifestyle that is probably very uninteresting, you know. But if your life is so interesting, you don't need drugs to forget anything. So that's what they say in spirituality, is you are so intoxicated with being happy that you don't need drugs or alcohol to make you happy because you're already intoxicated, you know. So keeping your children busy in highly positively charged activities. But for that, as a parent, you have to sacrifice. My own friend, my colleague, an OBGYN, she had a fantastic practice, then she had children and she gave up her practice. She said, I will not work for 14 years. I'm going to sit and take care of them. That's the kind of sacrifice you need for mindful parenting. It may not be possible, but it is doable. You know, I think that if you put your heart into it, you will see the fruits of it, and you will see that you have really helped the world, not only your own child. Is that answering the question, or does anybody else has a comment on that?
Nothing so far on that.
Okay.
But I see a lot of parents here, just like me, myself, whose children are abroad. And like you said very correctly earlier, that because of this pandemic, they are having issues with work or going back to work after working from home. So, as a mother or as a parent, how do we help them? What can we do, or how do we uplift their spirits?
So in this pandemic, when a lot of the kids who are working are now working from home or not working at all. So there are two issues. One is getting adjusted to working at home, and the second is not having a job. So both of them are different situations. When you work from home, you actually work longer hours. And so there are positives to working from home. And that is what the parents have to basically bring that in front of them. When you work from home, you still have to get up on time, like as though you were going to work. You should dress up a little bit, not necessarily in a jacket or a bladder, a blazer or whatever it needs to be, but to get a space where they need to work. Okay. But the positives is they have no pressure. They may have a deadline that this has to be finished, but when they don't have pressure, their efficiency is better. And in fact, one of the issues that are coming up in a lot of the economic talks is that maybe work from home will become a norm in a lot of the professions. And they will find that maybe it will be productive. And of course, there is an issue. Many people who work from home are having a glass of wine while they are working. And yes, a glass of wine may be okay, but if they have 3 cans of beer, it's not going to be okay. So now we will have to see, as I said, this is an experiment that's going on, how working from home is going to do. But as a parent, keeping in touch with them without being too nosy, without putting pressure, just making sure, talking to them with love, not judging them, and being there and listening to them. Sometimes telling your child, hey, how was your day? What did you do all day? How was your lunch and how was your breakfast? Is that something that's bothering you that you want to share with me? What was the best thing of your day today? And listen to that. Don't comment on it. Maybe what is best for them is not best for you. It doesn't matter. What was the worst part of your day? And again, they don't want your advice at that time. They just want you to listen. They don't want you to criticize them, but listen to them. Sometimes, I've had somebody, a kid goes to a doctor, comes back from the doctor. The parents know that he went to see a doctor, but it slips their mind. And they don't ask their child for 2-3 days, hey, what happened at the doctor's appointment? That's not acceptable. If you know your kid has fallen down or has had a headache, you have to show the concern without being overbearing. Are you better? Is there something I can do to make you feel better? Let me know. I'm here for you. Most children just want to hear that I am here for you. And so that is very important, is not to judge them. Then again, the other part is not having a job. When you're not having a job, and if parents are financially okay, then you have to be supportive to your children and say, okay, don't worry. These are tough times for all of us, me and you. We are all in the same boat, but I'll do the best I can. Hey, why don't you do something online, learn something new, a new profession, or maybe you have a hobby that you always wanted to pursue. Why don't you do that? So there is a lot of positive talk that can happen, but a lot of times that is not happening. And so, that becomes a problem. So going hiking, going, tracking, I mean, that has not been stopped. But you have to wear a mask, you have to stay 6 feet apart. So everything can be done. I know, I mean, California was in a lockdown for a lot of time, and I live in a building with 155 units, and there are many of them who lost jobs, and there are many who don't, and I know one of the girls, she's working from home, but she cannot leave the house because both her parents have diabetes and high blood pressure, and she talks to me on the phone every day, and she updates me. So this is not just parents, but friends can do that for each other. And then I just listen to what she has to say. I don't have to do anything else. And I have to just reassure her, hey, I'm here for you. If you need me, I'm here for you. If sometimes I take dinner for her to her room, sometimes I will just send a little card and slip it under a door, so there are many positive things we can do. And you know what, this is pandemic means what? It affects the whole world. And what does that mean? That this solution is also when we are all united and we feel that we are a world family. If you know anybody who is not well, even though you may not be close friends to them, you can help them. A simple word, a simple call, a simple text message, makes a whole lot of difference. Okay.
Okay, we have a few more questions here. Sister, is that okay with you? We have about 3 or 4 questions.
All right, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. How do we deal with a strong-willed child?
A strong-willed child. This is a whole session on its own, but I'll tell you basically, a strong-willed child is strong-willed because of the way we raise the child, So part of it is parenting. Part of it is sanskara, a habit, a pattern of what he sees in the father or mother, whoever is strong-willed at home. But one of the things that happens in formative years is when a child asks for something and the mother or father say no, and they may be right to say no. But how was that no communicated with the child? And then the child finds a way to get the parents to say yes. Same thing happens in school. The same scenario continues in school. He goes around with his friends, they're all fun, but then he likes a certain food, he likes a certain restaurant, he likes a certain game. And if the other friends say no, he finds a way. As I said, kids are curious and experiment. And after many years, he has learned that he has found a way to get things done the way he wants it done. Okay? And we can use a simple word of manipulative also. On the other hand, there is someone who is strong-willed in a good way, meaning that he is focused in getting his ambitions and goals fulfilled. So with that, that's fine. Then you have to give him space and let him do and inspire him to follow that path. So strong-willed can mean a lot of different things. It can mean good, and it can mean that somewhere along the track, we have actually made him manipulative. So I'm not sure this parent is hinting at the child being manipulative or being strong-willed in a good way.
The next question is, during this difficult COVID-19 period, many parents are facing financial difficulties. Parents are weighed with financial challenges. How can parents handle better as they have more serious issues to handle right now?
Yes, and so many of the parents have spoken to me about that here in San Diego. And I think that sometimes we don't want to accept that children understand us. They understand financial distress, and many parents sometimes do not share their financial situation with their children. And actually, you will be surprised that when you share your financial issues with the children, children are very understanding. So I had a couple who came to my place about 2 weeks ago and brought their daughter with them. And they had told me ahead of time, you know. So the daughter was not understanding why the parents were not buying them chocolates or ice cream or taking them somewhere for a long drive, or, you know, when the restaurants opened up, why they were not taking them to restaurants. And she couldn't understand that. And so she was getting upset at them. And, you know, I asked the parents if they have explained to her, and their answer to me was in front of the girl, "Oh, she can see everything, can't she?" That was their reply to me. And as soon as I heard that, I realized where the problem was. And then we sat together and I explained to the daughter, I said, do you know that every month your father and mother, they both go to work, they bring a certain amount of money home, and that is what they run the house with. They fulfill all your wishes, your desires, your clothes, your desserts, your fun time, your hobbies. But right now, the whole world is facing a crisis, and there is a problem in the world right now. There's an infection going on, and your father and mother are not making as much as they used to make before. So then I asked her, "Do you love your parents?" And she said, "Yes, I love them very much." I said, "Then they need you right now to understand them." And 1 week later, I mean, this conversation continued with the child for about an hour, you know. And 1 week later, the daughter called me and she said, "You know, Auntie, I have not had a chocolate for 1 week and don't even miss it. And I made pancakes for my mother today. And I told my mom to sleep longer. And I helped do the laundry today. And I have not asked my father even once for 1 week that take us out." So we think children don't understand our issues, but maybe sometimes the hesitation is with the parents of explaining to their children. And she even went ahead and explained to her brother, who was 5, 6 years younger to her, was about 8 years old, about what was going on, you know. So we assume that our children don't understand, but we don't realize that the problem is we don't explain to our children. We don't treat them as an equal. You know, we have to respect children too. Sometimes we cook food that what they like. Sometimes we cook food and we don't even think. But respect is asking your children, what would you like to have today? That is respecting your children. What would you like to wear today? Where would you like to go today? Would you like to sleep early today? Would you like to go for a movie today? We usually tell the children what we want them to do. We never really ask them their feelings, what they want to do. And so this becomes a pattern. And children then become either demanding because they feel neglected unless they demand, or they're demanding because you have always given them whatever they asked for. You know, so it can go both ways. They're demanding because you have never given them what they wanted, or they're demanding because you have always given them what they wanted. There is not a balance somewhere. Is there?
Yeah. The next question is, I wanted to ask how to tell young girls of age, say 14, to wear clothes covering them enough so that the clothes do not look too open or they don't look too bare.
You started a topic that's close to my heart, because that's what 3 days ago, there was one of my girls, they hardly have food to eat, right? Money to make food to eat. And she had posted on Facebook a photograph of her with a very skimpy sari blouse and with the sari itself at the bottom, you know, so the whole photograph, and she was in a very seductive posture on that photograph. So I called her older sister, who is also someone I know, and I've been helping her. And I said, "You are the oldest in the house. The father is an alcoholic, so I obviously could not approach him. mother is traumatized from the domestic violence. So I said, you are the older sister, the breadwinner of the family. And, is it possible for you to talk to her? So she spoke to her. And then the sister called me back, the one who had this posture. And she said, what are you telling my sister? That I'm exposing my body, I'm selling my body, and I have no, shame and this and that. That's a completely wrong conversation to have. This all grooming starts from childhood, wearing clothes that are decent, wearing clothes that are appropriate for the age. And parents need to be dressed appropriately too. If parents can wear backlesses, 5-year-old kids now, how many clothes that are being sold for a 5-year-old that are backlesses? There are bikinis, swimsuits that are being sold for 5 years old, right? They didn't exist in my days, right? So the problem is we can't change the world, but we can change me, the parent, right? What am I wearing, Hold on a second. Hi, Brother Art, is she okay? Yeah, I'm still in class. I'll call you back in 10 minutes. Okay, bye. Bye. Okay, so, we can't complain when they are 14. It's too late by then. We have to start early. If we are wearing clothes that expose our body and then we expect our children not to wear it, that's not going to happen. It's not going to work. So first, we need to dress up, we need to cover up, we need to speak that type of language in the house, In the olden days, girls always dressed up alone in the room, okay? And brothers were not allowed in the room. Nowadays, what I see in America, I don't know about Jakarta, sisters and brothers undress and dress up in the same room because they see that parents are doing it, openly. I have seen mothers walk out in lingerie into the living room. So everything is what am I portraying to the world, to the children. They are going to learn from that. And nowadays children think they're smarter than their parents, so they're going to go one step ahead of you, And social media is not helping, obviously. And so social media awareness is a completely different topic, because social media is creating a lot of issues for the children nowadays. So that obviously is another whole 2-hour discussion, but parents have to dress decently and they have to talk about dignity and clothing to their children from a young age. If the 3-year-old daughter is wearing a blouse that the shoulder is dropping all the time, and the brother comments, oh, that looks good like that, that's going to be imprinted in her head. And we think a 3-year-old doesn't remember that. It does. It may not be a brother, it may be a neighbor. I mean, nowadays we see 5-year-old boys becoming flirtatious, So everything that is happening that is supposed to happen as they are older is happening at a younger age. So we have to be mindful what we are wearing. If we are wearing something transparent and coming for breakfast with our children, then that's what they're learning. So everything, that is what mindful parenting is, what you do, so they become, so it's not just children. And then if you are close to them, you will know the company they keep. And then you have to groom them accordingly. The schools you send them to, their friends, so all that needs to be done. So that's that. Okay, just a second, hold on. Hello, Sister Diane, I'm finishing up your Zoom session. I'll call you back. Are you okay? What? Okay, let me call you back. I can't hear you. 1 second. Thanks. Bye. So anyway, so that's why I said we have to become model parents before we start pointing fingers at children. Is there another?
Yeah, we have some Apparently, we have some comments on YouTube and some
Mhm.
questions,
Sure.
which is related to what you were just talking about. I was body shamed by relatives as a child and criticized was till I was an adult. Example, 30 years later. I still
Mhm.
get angry when I think about the thoughts or the same situation, and they keep on repeating in my mind. What should I do?
I'm so glad and so proud of you, of her, of really expressing this. And this is a huge issue that we see in 15 to 20% of people. They carry this body shaming image forever. And I would tell you, definitely find a supporter. Either could be a friend, a mother, a sister, or a counselor, because definitely you deserve to feel good. You deserve to feel awesome. You deserve to feel that you are perfect. And so I think that that is very important. And maybe Jabin can give you my contact information, and I can speak to you first and see where things are, and then we can I can maybe talk to you in person and detail about it. But body shaming is seen in 15 to 20% of uh, girls and boys, and a lot of it is about what we tell, as simple as a mother telling her daughter, your cheeks are too chubby, they don't look good, they don't look nice on you. You need to have flat cheeks. So something like that can be very traumatic to a girl. And so, or even a praise to the mother that, oh my God, you look as young as your daughter. That may feel good for the mother, but it doesn't feel good to the daughter at all. So we have to really be mindful of what we say. Girls who have this issue or boys who have this body image issue are very vulnerable to bullying, harassment, low self esteem, a lot of eating disorders. So, definitely, that's my passion to help girls really overcome this shaming stuff. So, yeah, definitely, I'll be happy to chat with this person on another time.
We have one last question.
Sure.
My daughter is little arrogant with elders if she doesn't like anything. When I am with her, she behaves very nice, but in my absence, she usually behaves like that. What must I do?
Well, you have to first of all make sure that you are not arrogant. I should not be arrogant first. I should have respect for elders. And once that happens, then, I think then we are on the right track. But, having a nice long chit chat session with the girl, it's coming from somewhere, this arrogance, and finding the root of it. And I'm not saying necessarily that arrogance is going to be easy to go away, but this somebody who is arrogant with seniors, it's really bad karma. And so it's important to address that issue. And also addressing the parents, to whom, or the seniors that she's being arrogant with, and teaching them how to respond to her arrogance. Sometimes seniors are scared to respond to arrogant girls or boys, and they become fearful of responding to them and replying to them. So the counseling has to be with both the girl who is being arrogant and also the people who are at the receiving end. So again, having good company, having supportive friends, going to a counselor, going to a spiritual person, whoever it may be. It has to be somebody who believes in mindful parenting, who believes in the value system of the world. I'm not talking about morality. I'm talking about value systems.
Thank you, sister. Thank you
Thank you so
so
much.
much. It has been a wonderful session, and we hope and pray that Sister Diane is fine. Everything is
She's
okay with
fine.
her.
She just called me.
Okay,
Sister
that's
Diane
great.
is fine. Something happened, so I couldn't get the details. I will call her as soon as I'm done.
Okay.
So that's good. Yeah, I sent a brother to go to and knock the door in her house, and she's okay. So that's
Okay.
important.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
very important. And it's good to know that she's fine. So we will probably reschedule with her for another session on mindful parenting. And in the meantime, before we end, I would just like to convey that next week on Saturday at 5 p.m. Jakarta time on the 8th of August, we will be having Ken O'Donnell sharing with us on the topic, the spiritual lessons from the present chaos. So do hope all of you can join us. I have dropped my number on the chat box. So feel free to message me for any questions, or if you would like to get in touch with Sister Asha, do let me know and I shall pass it on to her. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, have a nice weekend, and stay happy.
Thank you, everyone. And I love you all. And good luck. Life is beautiful. And please work towards it. Thank you. Om Shanti. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Om Shanti. Bye-bye.